Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever episode of Sacred Heart Sports Central. I am your host, Matthew Mooney, and today we're going to be talking all about Sacred Heart football. So, a little bit about myself. I'm from Ramsey, New Jersey. I'm attending Sacred Heart University this upcoming fall. I went to Ramsey High School, and I am passionate about sports media and communications. That's my major. This is what I want to do when I'm older. If you want to see any of my previous projects, like look at my old podcast, Talking Blue, all about the New York Football Giants. Link is in the description down below. Um, so go check that out if you guys want. But so let's get started talking about last season. So they went 8-4 at home, as an FCS independent school and are joining the CAA conference for the 2026-2027 season, which I'm going to get into a little later. Went undefeated at home, being 6-0, and ended the year with wins versus New Haven, which was a 35-20 win, and Virginia University of Lynchburg, which was their biggest lopsided win of the year, 56-10. They also beat Merrimack in one of the last games of the season, 42-37. Losses came against tough teams such as Lehigh in overtime, University of Montana, and the nationally ranked Villanova Wildcats. So there were some positives, like I just said, with a couple negatives as well. I still got some more stuff I want to talk about from last season. So first of all, biggest negative was biggest thing that they need improvements for is that the O line has to play a lot better if they want success next season. They'll have too many sacks. They would average 2 sacks a game, a let up, and a total of they had 4 games where they let up a total of 4 sacks, which is not going to get you anywhere in college football. Like your quarterback doesn't have any time to throw the ball. You can't expect to win games. And that's what happened multiple times this season, like we saw. And so Central Connecticut State University was the closest loss of the Pioneers season, which was 42-35 in overtime. And they went 2-4 on the road, which is not going to cut it in the CAA conference, which they're moving into this season. And if they want success this season, they're going to have to play a lot better on the road. They got to get more comfortable playing against other teams' crowds if they want to be successful in the future. With that being said, there's a few more positives I want to get into from last season. So I want to talk about quarterback Jack Snyder. He had a very impressive sophomore year. He developed into one of the team's leaders. And although losing 34-10 versus Villanova, he still put up an impressive 286 passing yards against them as well. His sophomore stat line was 165 of 232 passes completed, 71.1 completion percentage, 187 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So that's very impressive. That's a good ratio. Mostly good decisions are being made there. A couple mistakes here and there, but overall, the decision making there is good. You need that if you want to be successful. And another key for next year is if he can develop into a dual threat quarterback, I feel like that's going to take a lot of pressure off of star running back Mitchell Summers, who I'm about to get into in a little bit. But the more he can rush the ball on his own, the less you're going to have to rely on having to run Summers into the ground, and he's going to be even better in a result of that. Jack Snyder's best game last year was versus Delaware State. He was 28 of 36 passes completed, 298 threw for 298 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and even scored a rushing touchdown of his own. And that was even when he got sacked for one of the games where he got sacked 4 times. And to be able to put that stat line up in a game while being sacked that many times is beyond impressive. And it's also kind of unheard of as well, if you ask me. Now let's talk about running back Mitchell Summers. He had a very good freshman year. He had 198 carries, 1,071 rushing yards, rushed for 12 touchdowns. He even had 9 receptions of his own for 119 yards, showing some versatility there. So he burst out on the scene game 3 of the year at Long Island University, having 24 carries, rushing for 105 yards and a touchdown. He's also, may I add the fact that his size makes this even more impressive. He is only 5'7" and weighs 155 pounds. But yeah, like I said, although he's undersized, he's still, I think, one of the Pioneers' biggest weapons coming into the season. His best performance last year was versus Howard when he had 18 carries, rushed for 243 yards and two touchdowns. Even for Delaware State, he showed a lot of versatility as well. He had four receptions that game for 93 yards. The Pioneers won that game 35-31. That was also Jack Snyder's best game of last season. Let's also talk about junior wide receiver, going to be a senior, Jason Palmieri. In his first year as a starter, he had a productive year. His best game of the year being at Villanova, where he had 10 receptions for 95 yards and a touchdown. Also had a big game for Delaware State in the 35-31 win, which I just talked about, where he had five receptions for 63 yards and two touchdowns. He had like I said, very solid junior year. His stat line was he had 34 receptions for 354 yards and four touchdowns. So Sacred Heart runs a balanced pro style run heavy offense. They their formation is a spread, which in case you guys don't know what that means, a spread offense is it's basically like in the name. It's supposed to spread opposing defenses by using three or more receivers. Operates mainly from the shotgun and forces defenders to cover sideline to sideline, creating space to isolate playmakers, prevents defenses from heavily loading the box, and opens up both passing lanes and run gaps. And so let's talk about the defense as well. So a couple of big strengths. Let's talk about senior cornerback Kenny Selby. He's coming back for another year of eligibility and had a year where he had a team high 10 passes defended while also being a captain. His stat line was he had 36 total tackles, 25 solo tackles, assisted on 11, and defended, like I just said, defended 10 passes. He's going to be a big factor in the team's success next season defensively, and he's gonna have his hands full covering every team's top receiver. Let's talk about sophomore safety Kamari Latnick. He's gonna be a junior this year. He was playing all over the field for Sacred Heart and was second on the team in tackles. He had 54 total tackles to be exact, 31 solo tackles, 23 assisted, one pass defended, two forced fumbles, and he had one interception. Going to be a huge factor, like just like Kenny Selby and the team succeeding this season defensively. Let's also talk about junior safety Damian Jones, who's going to be a senior this year. He provides a physical play in the middle of the defense after so he recorded 41 tackles this year, three tackles for loss, and he did a lot more as well. So his full stat line right here is 41 total tackles, 19 solo tackles, 22 assisted, two passes defended, one sack, one forced fumble, and one interception. Let's talk about Kyle Hall. He's coming off of a very good season and was third on the team in tackles this season and will be a key factor in the team's success this season. He's a linebacker, going to be a senior this year. He had a very productive junior year, 48 total tackles, like I just said, 29 solo tackles, assisted on 19 tackles, defended one pass. He had one sack and an interception. Sacred Heart runs a 4-3 scheme. It's built around aggressive gap control, generating heavy turnover margins, and utilizing zone coverages in the secondary. 4-3 consists of two defensive ends, two defensive tackles, allowing linebacker corps to flow to the ball and make stops in both the run and short passing games. So a little bit about this season for the Pioneers. Like for the offensive outlook, we don't have the full depth chart just yet, but Sacred Heart's offensive identity, like I just said, under head coach Mark Knopfrey, has historically featured a physical run game, balance, play action, and passing, strong offensive line play, and ball control. Like I said, the offensive line needs to play better. So if the offensive line doesn't let up more, more sacks like it did last year, the same amount, I think there will be even more success. Like if they keep averaging 2 sacks a game in the harder CAA conference, they're just not going to have as much success as they did this season. And you can't just rely on your quarterback to just like keep playing like he's Tom Brady against a very bad offensive in front of a very bad offensive line. And so the run game is very physical, balanced play action, and like I just said, and you need ball and like the ball control is going to be huge as well. The main factor in the run game being, like I just said, running back Mitchell Summers against stronger CA defenses. Explosive plays will become more important than simply controlling possession. So I feel like Sacred Heart, if they want success, you need to have explosive plays. This is where having a good offensive line comes into play. The more time the quarterback has, the more time they can wait and like loft a ball up in the air for a deep ball that a receiver's running on like a hitch route or a go route. And that could lead to a lot of yards being picked up and potentially even a touchdown. So hopefully, if the offensive line blocks better, it'll allow the play calling to be more explosive this year. And a little more of an outlook on the defense. The defensive side of the ball has been the long foundation of shoe football. The 2026 unit will need to force turnovers, limit explosive passing plays, and if they can hold opponents to under 24 points per game in the CAA conference, that's another key to success. So, little full overview, like I just said, they joined the CAA conference, one of the tougher conferences in the FCS. Instead of playing as an independent school, Sacred Heart will compete every week against already established CAA powers, meaning there is far less margin for error, but also a more visible path to an automatic FCS playoff berth. So, the more good teams you beat, the better chance they get into the playoffs there. So success will likely depend on Jack Snyder's growth offensively, quick adjustments to the weekly physicality of the CAA competition, and continuing to play well on home turf this year. 8-4 independent record suggests that there's momentum for Sacred Heart entering the CAA. With all that being said, the conference schedule is a significant step up from last season. There's going to be a lot more competition. And week one, they're playing at Monmouth, which I'm going to get into the schedule in a little bit. But that game sets the tone for the season. It's going to be tough. Monmouth is coming off a 9-3 year. They're probably one of the hardest teams Sacred Heart's going to have to play. And a win against them is really going to give momentum for how the season's going to go if they could beat them. And in the long term, if Sacred Heart recruits well in the CAA, it has potential to become one of the consistent playoff contenders in that conference over the next few years. For the 2026-27 season, Sacred Heart football projects to lean on an experienced veteran defense as it enters its first season in the Coastal Athletic Association Conference. Like I said, so the first 3 games of the year are on the road, from weeks 1 to 3. So a brutal opening month. With that being said, if they can emerge 2-1, or at the very least just 1-2, that sets them up for success this season. And that's really all they need. They just can't start out 0-3. You got to be able to tread water in the first 3 games. And then once you get home to the home opener versus University of New Hampshire, then hopefully more success will be coming. But before then, they still have to play well against the tougher competition on the road and get used to that. Where I said earlier that the road record needs to improve, they have a very good shot at improving it. The best chance to improve it the first few games of the season. So let's take a look at the Sacred Heart football schedule for the season. I'll put up on the screen right now so you guys can look at it. So first off, game 1 is at Monmouth, like I just said, on Saturday, September 5th, 2026. That is a conference game, and I also just said this earlier. They finished 9-3 last year. Second game of the year being at UMass Amherst on Saturday, September 12th, 2026. They're coming off an 0-12 season and are the only FBS team on the schedule. So in case you guys don't know what an FBS team is, FBS stands for Football Bowl Subdivision, meaning the team is eligible to play in a bowl game. And I know 0-12 doesn't look like a good record, but since they're an FBS school, they are not a team that should be taken lightly under any circumstances. I think every team here should be taken as they're one of the better teams you're going to have to play. And then the next game is going to be a tough one at Elon on Saturday, September 19th, 2026. They are coming off a 6-6 record. Then the home opener versus New Hampshire on Saturday, September 26th, 2026. They are coming off an 8-5 season, so that'll also be one of the toughest games on the Pioneer schedule. And then they go back on the road to face Maine on Saturday, October 3rd, my bad, 2026, who are coming off of a 6-6 record. Then they come back home for the next two games. The first one being versus Stonehill on Saturday, October 10th, 2026. They're coming off of a 4-8 season. Then they got Hampton at home versus who are coming off a 2-10 season on Saturday, October 17th, 2026. That is another conference game. Then they go back on the road to play Stony Brook on Halloween, who is coming off of a 6-6 year. Then they come home for two games versus Towson, November 7th, and who was coming off a 6-6 year. And then they got Bryant after that, who was coming off of a 3-9 season on November 14th. And then they end the year on the road against Merrimack, who finished 4-8 last season on Saturday, November 21st, 2026. So home games are going to be critical for this team's success. Like I know I talked more about the away success, but you got New Hampshire, Stonehill, Hampton, Towson, and Bryant. Winning at least 4 of those 5 games may be what it takes for the Pioneers to stay in playoff contention. They will have a total of 8 CAA matchups, so 8 conference games, like I just named on the screen, like I just named just now. And if they could, and winning 8 games is what it takes to win your conference. I don't expect 8 wins this season, but you never know. Sometimes teams get lucky. Hopefully, Bryant could be a win. Towson, it's going to be a close game. All these games are going to be tough. And although, like, a lot of these records, these teams didn't have pretty records aside from Monmouth and New Hampshire, they're still more used to playing CAA conference teams than Sacred Heart is. So even though, like, even UMass, Amherst, like 0-12, they're still an FBS school. Like I just said earlier, they should not be taken lightly under any circumstances. It's still, all these games are going to be tough, but I believe in the Pioneers that they can get it done this season, and hopefully they could make a run in the CAA playoffs. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There will be more episodes coming out soon. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video with a few friends, and I'll see you guys later. Roll Pioneers.